Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, how are you all? Human Resource Management in Education. This is our course for MPhil class. And today we are going to discuss lecture number 6, which is Organizational Demand and Supply for Human Resource Management. The content which will be discussed in this lecture, that is introduction, then forecasting human resource supply, then comes what factors affect human resource supply, then we will discuss forecasting human resource supply methods, then what are demands for forecasting human resource, then what factors affect human resource demands, and then we will discuss forecasting human resource demand methods, and at the last there will be conclusion. Human resource forecasting is a process that helps an organization to determine how many employees it will need in the future to meet its strategic goals. Human resource planning has become an essential component in identifying and planning for a company's changing personnel needs. Here in this slide, you may see the human resource forecasting, the process of projecting the organization future. Human resource need means demand. Again, I repeat it. The process of projecting the organization future human resource need. This is called demand. And how it will meet those needs. This is called supply. Again, I repeat this, that how can we meet those needs? This is called supply. Yes. Process of projecting the organization future HR needs and how it will meet those needs under a given set of assumptions about the organization policies and the environment conditions where it operates. Without forecasting, we cannot assess the distinct between the supply and the demand. Here, human resource supply forecasting is the process of estimating availability of human resources followed after demand for testing of human resources. Source of external supply of human resource is availability of the humans or personnel or labor force in the market and new recruitment. Now comes what is the demand. Human resource demand forecasting is the process of estimating the future quantity and quality of people required. Once the hours are available, determining the quality and quantity of the personnel will be the logical step. Then there is demand forecasting, means manpower forecasting is the process of estimating the future number of people required and the likely skills and competences they will need. Forecasting human resources demand is the process of estimating the future human resource requirement of right quality and right number. Then we move to the next slide. Here, what is forecasting human resource supply? The purpose of identifying future human resource supply requirement is to determine the number of employees required for each job and their knowledge, their skills, their abilities, and other characteristics. If number of employees are required for the job, then which qualities are required? These qualities are knowledge, these may be the skills, these may be the abilities, or some other characteristics. Human resource supply forecasting is essential in determining the characteristics of hiring sources with a predetermined planning horizon in order to establish whether future human resource supply is sufficient to match future human resource demands. Then we move ahead. Number 1, organizational features. Again we repeat the internal factors. The internal factors are organizational features. For example, staffing capabilities. Then comes the productivity. It means that rates of productivity or productivity changes. Then comes the rate of promotion. It means that promotion of persons or people working in the organization, or what is the rate of demotion, how many people have been demoted. Then comes transfer, and at the last there is turnover. Forecasting human resource supply methods. First one is trend analysis, then comes competency model, then comes replacement chart. Very first we discuss about trend analysis. Trend analysis involves collecting and evaluating data to identify patterns of information that might impact future. A method of forecasting that assumes past trends and ratios in employee movements are stable and indicative of future trends and ratio in employee movement. If I explain what is trend analysis, it involves collecting and evaluating data to identify patterns of information that might affect the future. An assortment of factors affect human resource needs, including supply and demand changes within markets and industries, as well as changes in work process and procedures. Human resources professionals study employment data to predict and anticipate changes based on historical patterns to develop strategies to continue to meet market demands or market needs. One of the simplest methods for forecasting future human resource supply, this is trend analysis. For example, an organization reviewing historical data may realize that every year approximately 5 of their staff retire, 6% resign, and 3% are dismissed. Then comes competency model. Competencies are behaviors that encompass the knowledge, skill, and attitude required for successful promotion. Competency modeling is the activity of determining the specific competencies that are characteristic of high performance and success in given job. A competency model is a guideline developed by a human resource department that sets out the specific skills, knowledge, and behavioral requirements that enable an employee to perform their job successfully. Competency model defines what performance success should look like within the organization for each individual job. This model is applied to recruitment practices, talent management, training, and performance assessment. When we are talking about the competency model, then there should be job description. First, we should know the difference between job description and competency model. A job description and a competency model sound almost alike because they both seem to describe what an employee is required to do in the job. What is the difference? The difference is that a job description is a general summary of the skills required for a job. Again, I repeat that job description is general summary of the skills required for a job, whereas a competency model provides specific behaviors that an employee must do on the job in order to be successful. Competency model focus on matching the right skills or competencies needed for each job with the skills available within the organization. There are some benefits of competency model. Greater performance success has been attributed to organizations with thoroughly defined competency models. In a competency survey by the Society for Human Resource Management, they have claimed that competency models were important to their organization's performance success. Then comes replacement chart. What is replacement chart? It is a chart used to estimate the vacancies in higher level jobs and identifying how potential human resource supply can fill these vacancies via internal movements for lower level jobs. And then the replacement chart provide identification of potential replacements for vacancies within the organization. Replacement charts refer to tool used in succession planning which lists the critical job roles in a company along with current and future. Replacement charts are forecasting technique used in succession planning to help companies visualize key job roles, current employees, and existing and future vacancies. Positions are mapped alongside information such as potential replacement, gender, and promotion potential. Updates to replacement charts should be made regularly, at least annually, and especially in response to fluctuations in economic conditions or business activity. If I further proceed, letting you know about replacement chart. Replacement charts classify employees into four groups: employees ready for promotion, employees who would be ready for future promotion if given additional training, employees performing satisfactory but needs motivation and further improvements, and fourth one is employees who are not fit to be on employment and need to be replaced. If the replacement chart we go in detail, the replacement charts answer the following questions: what is the organizational history of the employee and competencies? What are the most eligible replacement options for a vacant position? What are the benefits of selecting a particular employee for the incumbent position relative to another employee? This was all regarding the replacement chart. Now we move to the next slide. There is generally a replacement chart include information about employees' performance, readiness to fill the position, and education. This is also about replacement chart. Then comes forecasting human resource demand. Forecasting human resource demand is the process of estimating the future human resource requirement of right quality and right number. Human resource forecasting requirement is to be estimated keeping in view the organization plan over given period of time. Job analysis and forecasting about the quality of potential human resource facilitates demand forecasting. Here what is forecasting human resource demand? Forecasting human resource demand is the process of estimating the future human resource requirements of right quality and right number. As we have already discussed, potential human resource requirement is to be estimated keeping in view the organization's plans over a given period of time, analysis of employment trends, the replacement needs of employees due to death, resignation, retirement, termination, productivity of employees, growth and expansion of organizations. At a more practical level, Forecasting demand involves determining the number and kinds of personnel that an organization will need at some point in future. Most managers consider several factors when forecasting future personnel needs. The demand for the organization's product or service is paramount. Thus, in a business market, and sales figure are projected first. Then the personnel need to serve the projected capacity are estimated. The first factor which affects forecasting human resource demand is employment trends. Employment trends or employment planning. The basic purpose of having a human resource plan is to have an accurate estimate of the number of employees required with matching skill requirements to meet organizational objectives. It provides information about the manner in which existing personnel are employed, the kind of skills required for different categories of jobs, and human resource requirements over a period of time in relation to organizational objectives. It would also give an indication of the lead time that is available to select and train the required number of additional manpower. Then comes the replacement needs. Human resource planning is required to cope with the replacement and changes in market conditions according to technology, according to products and government regulations in an effective way. These replacements and changes may often require the services of people with the requisite technical knowledge and training. In the absence of an human resource plan, we may not be in a position to enlist the services of persons working in the organization well in time. Then the other factor affecting forecasting demand is productivity. By keeping an inventory of existing personnel in an enterprise by skill, level, training, educational qualification, work experience, it will be possible to utilize the existing resources more usefully in relation to the job requirement. This also helps in decreasing wage and salary cost in the long run. Then the next factor is absenteeism. Absenteeism is also a major factor affecting forecasting human resource demand. And at the last, there is expansion and growth. Now move to the that is slide. Forecasting human resource demand methods. The first point is managerial judgment. The second point is work study technique. And the third point is econometrics models. The first point in the method is managerial judgment. This technique involves two types of approaches, that is bottom-up approach and top-down approach. It is very clear from this sentence that these two approaches, from bottom to top and from top to bottom, these are two approaches involved in managerial judgment. Under the bottom-up approach, line managers send their departmental requirements of human resources to top management. Again, it is very easy to understand that in the bottom-up approach, the line managers send the requirements, the messages of human resources to top management. But in contradiction to this, the top-down approach, top management forecast the human resources requirements for the entire organization and various departments. Then comes work study technique. This technique is also known as workload analysis. This technique is suitable where the estimated workload is easily measurable. Under this method, estimated total production and activities for a specific future period are predicted. Under this method, demand of human resources is forecasted on the basis of estimated total production and contribution of each employee. After that, there is econometrics model. These models are based on mathematical and statistical techniques for estimating future demands. It means that mathematics and statistical techniques both are used in this model. In these models, under this model, relationship is established between the dependent variable to be predicted and the independent variable. Using these models, estimated demand of human resources can be predicted. Now we go to the conclusion. Forecasting is a process of making statements about events those actual outcomes have not yet been observed. Human resource forecasting is all about estimating future demand and supply of human resources in an organization. So students, today our topic of discussion is over. Now we will move to the next topic in the next lecture. Thank you very much.